All right, how's everybody doing? So look, if you don't know, my name is David Johnson, Vermilion Media. We're actually working on some new videos for the website, and so I like doing live feeds, so this is a live feed. What I want to talk about is direct response acquisition marketing. That's basically what I do. And some people don't know what that is, and depending on who is doing it is going to depending on what tools and what methods they use to make that happen, right? To acquire the customers. So I actually have a whiteboard set up. I have some content written on there, and I'm going to kind of like walk through it and just kind of like touch base just on a few things. But I think we can agree that there's a few basic things that a restaurant needs to do to increase sales. They need new customers, and they need those new customers to come in more often. You need your current database of customers to come in more often, and you need to increase your average check value. Okay, those things will drive your business to success, and they will increase your revenue. So I'm just going to move the camera just so we can see my whiteboard here, and I'm going to do my best so you guys can see just what I'm talking about. All right, and some things I'm going to elaborate on more than others, but let's give this a shot. All right, so direct response acquisition marketing, right? These are basically the tools that I use. Social media. Now, there's some companies that do their own social media marketing, and there's two different kinds. There's the content, and then there is the marketing, the ads, okay? So the content should definitely be done by the company. It's best done like that because they are in the day-to-day action of their company, and they can represent themselves better than anyone in a transparent way, which is what people actually want to see. When it comes to the ads, most companies, and like this isn't like a dig on any company at all, they just try to save money, and so they put somebody in their company on the marketing. There are some parts of Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, etc., that are very easy to understand. And so that's typically what the business does when they implement their ad strategy. Okay, you take basic marketers, and they understand the basics of Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram marketing also. But the issue comes into play when you try to come up with a whole strategy, because this is only one part. It's an essential part, but it's only one part of what your strategy should be. Email. Okay, email has been around forever. Lots of people don't pay attention to emails, so at best, you're looking at maybe 20 to 25% open rate, and that's if you're lucky. Now, email is still good to do because there's still people that read it, and it's great for long form content. So if you need to get a long message across to your customer base, it's a great thing to do. You should all be doing emails, okay? Even though only 20 to 25%, if you're lucky, are going to open them, it's still something. It's part of the overall strategy, okay? And that's what I'm talking about here. Text and SMS. Now, this is something that actually hardly anybody does. It is great for short-term content. So just say you have a special going on, and just say you have a pizza shop and you want to do a quick BOGO pizza or Kids Eat Free or something like that. And so you can send a text blast out to your database and get them to come in, on a short-term basis. Like just say it's Friday night, you want to get some business over the weekend, you can send that message out and get them to come in. Facebook Messenger. Now, Messenger is really big. It is actually the second largest or the second most used social media platform. So a lot of people don't realize this, but Facebook actually, it used to be tied exclusively to Facebook. And then Facebook separated it and made a separate app a couple years ago. And it is the second most app used, Facebook being the first. So that is an advertising platform and a way to interact with your customer base or your potential customers is Facebook Messenger. You can run ads within Messenger. And then that actually is going to take us to this next part, which is Messenger bots. Okay? It all ties together. And actually, all this ties together. And I'm going to show you that in just a minute. But Messenger bots is something that's been around for a couple years now. It is really coming into a real mature way to do marketing now. You can do some very elaborate, what's called messenger bot system or sequences. You can gain an enormous amount of data from your customers or your potential customers. And that data gives you information that will allow you to speak to or communicate with your customer base in a more personal way. Like you can give more specific ads or messaging to get people into your restaurant or your business because of messenger bots. It has changed the entire game. POS systems, point of sale systems in restaurants have an enormous amount of data that most, I'm going to say 95% at least, don't use any of the data. And it's mainly because the data that they have, honestly, they're just not sure what to do with it, right? And so it's because it's not their thing. Their thing is restaurants, cooking, serving, stuff like that. So when it comes to marketing with the data that they already have, it is very limited on the amount of people that actually use that data. All right. So then you have a custom built database. Now, custom built databases, that can happen a few different ways, but like with us, we use messenger bots to build a database because we can take people through a sequence where we gain whatever data we want to gain depending on the restaurant or the business that we're trying to help. Okay? Voicemail drops. I'm not going to go too deep into this because most people don't know what it is. They've never heard of it. And for me to fully explain it, it's going to take about 15 minutes. But it is something that we use and it helps drive customers to your restaurant. And then you also have retargeting. Now, every single bit of these pieces of information go into retargeting. Now, most, like if it's a company doing their own social media advertisements, I haven't talked to one yet that understood how to implement the retargeting. Like you can do retargeting based on people who have interacted with your brand. You can do retargeting based on an email list, a phone number, messenger, data that you gain from messenger bots, data in your POS system. All these ways, all these types of information can be used in retargeting. So, and then another thing most people don't know is retargeting ads cost much less than your original ad. So whenever you run ads on Facebook or Instagram, YouTube or Google, whatever it is, you're using, number one, you're using their platform, so you're paying for that. Number two, you're using their data, okay? So you're paying for that. Even though it's still very inexpensive relative to the money you bring in, it's still relatively inexpensive to advertise and get the data from them. But it's even more inexpensive if you have the data. And so once you bring people in and you gain all this data, you use that data to lower your ad cost. I hope that makes sense. Now, what all this does is it creates compound marketing. Okay? Now, what is compound marketing? No, it's just like compound interest. Anything that you do that propels you forward, if you continue to do it, the results are compounded because you have your efforts that are put into this month, right? All your efforts that went to this month. And then the following month, you have the same efforts. After that, you keep doing the same things and building off of that month after month. Well, the things you did this month are still going to reap rewards in 2, 3, 4, 5 months or even further. So each month you compound on the efforts that you did the month before and the month before. So you use all of these different avenues to target your customers or bring your customers in, and your efforts are compounded. It's compound marketing. What makes all this work? When you use all these types of information, you have to have triggers and automation. It's impossible for one person or even a team of people to manage all this all the time and get maximum results. So you need to figure out triggers. So when somebody interacts or doesn't interact, you have triggers that cover both of those things. When a customer comes into your restaurant, you have a trigger to get them to do the next step. If they don't come into your restaurant within a certain period of time, well, then that would be another trigger you set up to help coach them to get them to come into your restaurant. Whether it's just, you could just be asking them to come in. Sometimes that's all it takes. And automation is key. You cannot do all this effectively without automation. And with technology today and the platforms that you have to work with, or people like me have to work with, automation is a dream. So that is basically direct response acquisition marketing in today's world. It's not 1920s or 1960s or even the early 2000s anymore. With the data, the technology, and the platforms that you have available, there's no reason to use like Clipper magazine or money mailers or all that. It's all kind of like outdated avenues, because here's the thing: when you use those types of marketing, you're renting someone else's database. When you do this type of marketing, you build your own customer database, and then you can market to them anytime you want. So basically that's it. Hopefully that made some sense. This video is going up on the website. It's actually going to be at the very top. And that's it for today. All right, peace out, everybody.